Oh, hey, welcome to my desk. Today I'm going to be drawing trees. Okay, so I tried to find like a pretty good variety of different types of trees today. Like different looking types of trees. I feel like a lot of trees can look alike. So I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't boring. And I did look up information about each tree. I hope I remember what I read, but we'll see. And I'm going to start with the Jacaranda tree. The Jacaranda tree. And this is a really pretty tree. And I actually have one on my street that I see. And it's blooming right now. So the famous thing about these trees is that they're purple. They have these purple blooms, and they're just like beautiful to look at. And I agree. But the Jacaranda tree is native to South America. But it's like been cultivated and planted all over the world. I think the first place it was planted, like, recordedly, the first recording of it being planted outside of South America was Australia in the 1800s, I believe. And it's planted all over Brisbane and other cities. So you definitely see those in pictures of Australia, And I think they're in like that show Bluey. Like planted around the city when you see it. And Buenos Aires in Argentina is like filled with them. So it's like the most common tree in Buenos Aires. And I have never been to Buenos Aires, but I've seen pictures and it looks really, really pretty with all these trees planted everywhere. And this purple, it's not really giving it justice, I don't feel, but whatever. It's also come up in like pop culture a lot. Like it's named in a lot of songs, and there's like a radio station named after this tree. Like a famous one, I think. And yeah, I don't know. I think a bunch of other stuff, like in poems and books and stuff. But yeah, that's the Jacaranda tree. I really like it. It's pretty. Okay, so that was the Jacaranda. Let's go ahead and do the next tree, which is the Cypress. The Cypress is another really pretty tree in a different way. I see these around my neighborhood as well. I see them, in like these parks that are near my house that I walk around sometimes. And I think they're really, really cool looking. I just like that they just look like statues or like people to me. They just stand up so straight. So yeah, I just really like them. They're probably one of my favorite trees. And they're native to the Mediterranean coast. So any of the countries that are like bordering the Mediterranean, you'll see them. So that includes like Spain and Italy and Greece. And even further east than that, but you get the idea. And they have an association with death or mourning or loss that kind of puts it a little bit of a bummer on my earlier statements. But they've seen often planted in cemeteries specifically for their connection to, or their symbolism, for mourning. And the reason for that is because it's from a Greek myth about this character, this guy named Cypress. Definitely not pronouncing that right. But he was like this beautiful boy that was like also a lover of the god Apollo. And Apollo gave him a stag as a gift. And he accidentally killed the stag. So, Apollo was like, no, he wasn't mad, but Cypress was really, really upset. And so he asked Apollo to, like, give him the ability for his tears to fall forever, something like that. I'm not really sure. But basically, Apollo turned him into a cypress tree. And the sap that is like always dripping from the bark of the cypress is like meant to be his tears. And yeah, that's the story, which is pretty dark and sad. But I feel like most Greek myths are. So what do you expect? Despite all that, I do really love cypress trees. They're just so cool looking at me. And I'm trying to give it like a little more dimension, because otherwise it would just be, green. But alright, so yeah, that was the cypress tree. Okay, so let's do another tree that I really like. It also when I see around my area, I didn't realize I just picked trees that I see every day. But this is the olive tree. So yeah, the olive tree is, obviously really important tree. It's like one of the only trees or one of the oldest trees that we've cultivated as humans, and we get a lot of different products from these trees, and they have a lot of significance, both like economically and as well as, culturally, symbolically. But basically, it's a tree that is native to the Mediterranean, as well. And it grows, mostly in like Mediterranean countries and Middle Eastern countries as well. Actually, it started out in the farther eastern side of, the Mediterranean, like in the Levant, people think. And then it just made its way further and further west through like trade and commerce and stuff. And I just really love the color. I feel like this is not the right color, unfortunately, but the real color of olive trees to me is just so pretty. It's an evergreen tree, which is kind of weird, like I don't really think of it like as an evergreen, but it never loses its leaves. And yeah, obviously its fruit, the olive, is like super delicious. And it's where we get olive oil from. It's the name of the tree actually is what we get the word oil from. So not just any oil, but like olive oil specifically. But yeah, it's like the #1 export of a lot of Mediterranean countries. It's worked as like, an economy booster for sure. And it's famous in places like Italy, Greece, Spain, and like Turkey, Algeria, Portugal, all the countries in that area. So yeah, I really love olive trees, but yeah, that was the olive tree. Okay, so let's go ahead and do another one. I'm gonna do the bitter orange tree. The bitter orange tree. And this is not to be confused with the sweet orange tree, which like Florida grows, or they grow in Florida, and like other southern states in the Americas. This tree's oranges are like a cross between a pomelo and like a traditional, like a mandarin. So they're quite small, and they're not really edible. I mean, they are, but they're used more to make products like marmalade, like British marmalade specifically, that they love it over there, apparently. And then like cosmetic products, like natural cosmetic products. Because if you try to eat them, they're like too bitter. They're not tasty. So yeah. The reason I chose this tree actually is because I lived briefly in Seville, in Spain, and the streets are all lined with this type of tree. And it's really pretty, but like I said, the fruit is not edible. So a lot of them will just like fall in the streets. And I remember seeing like dumpsters full of these little oranges everywhere. It's like they were just throwing them out because it was too many. But I think, a good amount of them get sent to the UK to make that famous marmalade. But yeah, I just remember walking around the city and seeing these everywhere and thinking like how pretty it was, It really had this like picturesque, warm quality. So yeah, I really like these trees. And I don't live in Seville anymore, but I do see them sometimes in a particular neighborhood that I'm in sometimes, and it reminds me a lot of my time there, which was really nice. But yeah. I think these trees might be native to... Actually, no. I don't think they brought them in. So let me just fill in this. What is it called? Trunk. Yeah. Alright. So that is the bitter orange tree. Okay. Alright, I think I just want to do one more today. And I chose the palm tree. And this is another tree that I see around sometimes. And I do like palm trees. They're pretty. I was reading that they are not actually trees, but rather they belong to a family of plant types just called palms. The general palm, and there's obviously different types of palms, but the tree-like one is colloquially called the palm tree, even though it's not technically a tree. Or I think that's what I understood. And they're obviously, like, I think most people associate them with tropical islands or vacations, beaches. Yeah, and I think with good reason, because they are from that area. They grow mostly in super warm climates, and have become like a symbol of victory and what's the word, like opulence? No, wealth maybe. So they have a lot of cultural significance, and obviously there's been stories and stuff that talk about the palm. Jesus was like praised with palm leaves in the story of Easter, like the Sunday before he was crucified. And then I think they use the palm leaves too as like a crown sometimes in certain cases. And more recently, or like in modern history, they've been used as like ornaments, as decoration, in like cities and stuff like LA, and you'll see like a palm tree lined streets in like really nice, well manicured lawns and stuff. So yeah, that is the palm. And yeah, that was the last one. So well, I hope you like this one. Let me know in the comments what tree you like, what trees, and I will see you in the next one.